Life Unrehearsed, brought to you by Lianas Senior Transition Support, helping you navigate home care and senior residences.
And good afternoon. Welcome to Life Unrehearsed. My name is Matt Delvecchio, specializing in life transitions, elder care planning, and the senior living industry. My co-host Corey Sirota is off today. Coming up on today's show, a behind-the-scenes look at a private investigator. You won't believe some of the investigations and mandates he has been given. Everything from surveillance of someone who might be suspicious of cheating on their spouse to employees trying to pull a fast one on their employer with a fake injury and much, much more. We're going to hear all about that coming up very, very soon. And on the second half of Life Unrehearsed, I'm very proud to have two of the co-authors of the recently published World Alzheimer's Report. Dr. Serge Gauthier and Claire Webster will be joining us to discuss this comprehensive report on the latest developments in Alzheimer's, including medical advancements and essays to support caregivers. That's coming up on the second half. Want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're enjoying this fall weather. I'll be trying to soak it in. Actually, this Monday, I'll be taking my daughter to the Alouettes game. And how cool is this? I'll be joining my dad for a round of golf tomorrow as we celebrate his 80th birthday. Happy birthday, Pop. Looking forward to getting around in with you. And again, thank you. All right. I've been looking forward to this interview for a while. Ever wonder about the life of a private investigator? You know, it's such an intriguing profession. It can't be that easy. And wouldn't you love to be a fly on the wall in some of those cases? Well, George Pinto is that fly on the wall, and he's a private investigator and owner of Plan B Investigations. George, welcome back to Life Unrehearsed.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
Doing well, George. Thanks for joining us. Love when you're on the show. Let's go back a bit, right to the roots of starting this. How did you even get into the private detective industry?
Look, it's been now over 32 years. 32 years I've been doing this, and when I started, I actually started very young. I was 18 years old when I started, and the way it started was I actually had to follow a family member. And when I did follow the family member, this is when, after the case I did, this is when I realized there must be a demand for this in the personal, corporate, and so forth. So that's how I actually started.
Amazing. 18. I'm doing the math, George. I think it starts with a 5 now, how old you were. 32 years.
32 years, and I think I must have followed over, I'm sure I've reached over already 12,000 people that I followed.
12,000 people. Phenomenal number. So let me ask you, I don't think there's no formal training. How did you learn to be a private investigator?
You actually don't learn. Believe it or not, it's one of those jobs where you have to have it in you. It's not something that you could learn. I mean, you could learn, but once you're on the streets, it's gotta, you have to have that ambition. You have to have that motivation, that quick, smart street, what they say, to do it. Because obviously following people, you're always spending most of your time outside. And, but if for someone who wants to do the job, today there is courses that are given. It's very strict. It's very controlled, actually. I think Collège Maisonneuve do give courses. But like I said, it's you learn, you sit down, you learn, and so forth. But once you're really on it, once you have to follow that person, it's like you have to have it really in you to be able to follow the person. The driving skills, the video skills, the quick thinking. It's a very you never know what to expect, right? So it's one of those rare jobs that it's just like you don't learn. You just don't learn on school and books,
Yeah, no, I can't. It's just like you say. You need to expect the unexpected. There's no textbook, and it must be so intriguing. And you're learning on the fly, I'm sure, many times. You're listening to Life Unrehearsed with Matt Delvecchio, and I'm talking to George Pinto. He's a private investigator based right here in Montreal. George, I'm just wondering, the pandemic, did it affect your business? I'm wondering, pre and post pandemic, or what we're in right now, did it actually increase, decrease? How did it affect you?
Well, lucky enough on the pandemic side, it actually did not affect me. I mean, keep in mind, because I've been doing this for so long, the demand is huge on my behalf. So it didn't affect me. I actually kept on following people. The demand was always there. And so forth. And I even remember after the restrictions, I think it was at 10 o'clock, I believe, that people wouldn't be able to come out. But even with that, it still kept me busy. The demand was always there. There was a lot of people that were off work. A lot of people were off work, saying they had the COVID and so forth. But some of them obviously had to be followed to see if it's really true or not. But
that leads.
But it didn't affect me at all, actually.
And also on the personal side, I guess people cooped up at home for a couple of years, and relationships were strained. And so I want to bring that up in terms of, you do both corporate work and personal work, right? So just give me an example of both a corporate and a personal surveillance.
So let's say corporate. I do a lot of corporate. So I would probably say I do 50% on each side. So corporate, just there, it's a lot. It's a lot of demand. Mainly, it's has to do a lot with employees. That they go on sick leave and they call in sick and so forth. But mostly it's injuries and so forth. So they usually ask to follow their employees. In order to verify, are they really injured? Is it their claim? Is it real? Are they really home? Are they really injured? So that takes a huge portion. I mean, obviously, you deal with corporate, you deal with employers, you deal with law firms that they have cases where they need an investigator to work on one of their cases. You deal with insurance companies. You deal with it's very huge. It's very huge on the corporate side. The insurance companies, they have sales reps. They want to know, okay, look, this sales rep is not seeing 10 customers as he's supposed to be doing. Can you verify what exactly, And then you have the personal side. The personal side, yes, you have the, follow my husband, follow my wife, follow my kids, follow my ex-husband because he doesn't pay the pension. He says he's not working, so therefore he's not paying the pension. So you have that. Then you have parents where they're separated. Look, my spouse has the kids for the weekend, every 2 weekends, and I think he doesn't take care of the kids. He leaves the kids somewhere else, and he goes to work, or he doesn't take care of them, or somebody else take care of the kids. It varies so much. And then you have the husband and wife. My husband or my wife. It's like the spouse cheating and so forth. So when you look at both angles, it doesn't stop. It doesn't end. And so that's what it is. And luckily, like I said, I'm blessed to do both. I do work both. Some agencies, they just concentrate on the corporate side. Me, I actually do both. I do actually both sides.
Right, and you're saying almost a 50-50 split. Now, we're talking with George Pinto, private investigator here on Life Unrehearsed. Now, George, I mean, I can't imagine for you personally, because there's no agenda per se. The roadmap is unknown, and a lot of the times you're doing surveillance. And so just give me an example. Let's go on the personal side where you mentioned that example of maybe the shared custody, and they have to you need some feedback for the one who's hiring you. So what does that involve? I mean, are you doing 24/7? How do you even do that? When do you sleep? How do you do your job properly?
And that's what it is, and that's why I was saying this job is really particular, because when you start the job in the morning, you don't know what time you're going to finish. You have no idea, and you don't know where you're going to end up. You don't know where you're going to, where you're going to go throughout the day. It's like you're going to follow the person, and you're going to do that person's life. Your life is to follow that person's life. So you're going to become into their lives. And yeah, it's on the personal side. It's actually for me. It's actually my favorite because it's like a very direct, very close, very personal. But yeah, it's. I say, let's say, and I give you an example. Let's say on the personal side, let's say you follow. Let's say let's say on the pension side, where the husband, he says he does not work. So then what happens is, you do follow that person, and then you end up catching that person working, and the person could work day, or it could have the afternoon shift or the night shift. So I do pull these long hours.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do spend a lot of time in the car and try to catch the person. Obviously my job is not there to, how do I say it? I'm just there to bring the proof. I'm not there to bring the person down.
You're the messenger at that point, right? Just giving the facts. We want to hear more, George. In fact, when we come back, we want to ask you about, or I want to ask you about, one of your most unusual requests. All right, George, before we went out to traffic, I wanted to ask you, what would be one of your most unusual requests?
It's let's say on the corporate side. On the corporate side, I had to follow an individual, and he had a back pain problem, and I couldn't locate him. He was never home. And I ended up finding out that he was actually at a camping site. He was actually he had a seasonal spot in a camping site. Well, I had no choice. I had no choice to go camping for the weekend. I brought my wife, I brought my dog, and I had to spend the weekend there in order to film him inside the camping ground because in order to prove that he did not have a back problem. And I did caught the guy. He was playing soccer, he was going on the pool, he was running with the kids and so forth. So that was actually special for me for a weekend to spend on a camping ground. But this is the extremes where you have to go. On the personal side, I remember once I had to follow an individual. A normal thing. He was presumed to be cheating on his wife, and I did follow him. Here I am wearing jeans, a nice shirt, a nice blazer. As you know, I usually go to work. I always try to go nicely work. And the next thing you know, this individual ends up going to a spa. He ends up going to a spa, an outside spa up north. And and so what happens is when he got there, well, obviously he went inside the spa. So what does that mean for me? Well, that means that the client asks me, well, can you go inside the spa? And the next thing you know, here I am going inside, taking off my clothes, putting my clothes in a closet, and getting my towels, and end up going into the spa. It was the only way to catch him, and he was actually there with his mistress. So here I am in the water, I wake up in the morning going to work, and a few hours later, here I am inside a hot tub, and filming the individual who's sitting right in front of me with his mistress. So
unbelievable. I think that Pink Panther theme in Inspector Clouseau was very appropriate. I could just picture you there. How the heck are you filming with just a towel on, George? I want to hear about that.
Well, this was the thing. And on top of it all, in the spa, you're not allowed filming. You're not allowed having cell phones. You're not, but I thought, look, I'm alone. I read my books on my cell phone. So do you mind? He goes, yeah, do it very discreetly, and I have no choice because how could I prove that the mistress is there? And he was actually inside. I swear, the hot tub was actually not big because these spas they have like 3 or 4 hot pools, and here I am in the pool, and I'm just thinking like this morning I was not expecting to be inside a spa.
My goodness, you are listening to Life Unrehearsed, and this is indeed a Life Unrehearsed with George Pinto. He's the owner of Plan B Investigations. All right, George, I want to talk about we laugh, however. I'm sure emotionally it's not that easy. Let's put in the human factor here. I guess if you're doing a corporate and you're going to an employer saying, I just busted the employee and here's the proof, great. That's very good and happy from the employer perspective. Even on the personal side, if you're in a situation where, boy, if you've busted someone, maybe cheating on a spouse, you have to break that news. And sometimes that might be, yes, I knew it, or sometimes it might be heartbreak, and reality kicks in that this is indeed the situation. So how do you handle that emotional side of things?
I actually when I have to tell them that what I saw and what I filmed, the real situation, to be honest with you, I'm actually glad to tell the client. I don't hesitate. I'm not sad. I'm actually happy to tell the client because the truth. I mean, keep in mind the client's paying you to find the truth, right? So when you find the truth, here it is. Even though if there's kids involved, I am actually proud to. Not proud is not the right word. Sorry. I'm actually I'm happy to bring the results so the client could move on. The client could actually go forward with the plans, seeing what we just found out. So usually, probably in the beginning of when I used to start this business, I was probably more sentimental. But today, it's normal after so many years. I don't attach. I don't attach. They pay me. I get there and I try to support them. If there's one thing though that I do a lot is when I tell them the news, I actually support them. I don't just tell them the news and thank you and here's the report, here's the video, and here's the money, thank you. No, I actually support them. Most actually my clients, they do become my friends. So I do support them and I guide them. I try to, help them as much as I can. So there is a lot of psychology behind it that I do with clients because once they get the news, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to act, the frustrations and so forth. So I try to calm them down and I actually, a very, very human to human look. I'm as a friend because that's what I am at the end, to be honest with you. It's not just a client. I don't have that kind of relationship client. I actually have that personal, human touch saying, look, let's do this. Now that we found this, look, I recommend you doing this, do this, and so forth. But at the end of the line, I'm always happy that the client now can finally move on and stop being lied to.
Listening to Life Unrehearsed. Matt Del Vecchio here, and we're talking to private investigator George Pinto. George, you've been on before, and you keep telling us after these interviews, you're getting calls right away. So, I mean, how does it work? If someone wants to reach out to you, explain the process if someone wants to engage your services.
The best way, I'm a very direct person. Best way is to call my cell phone. I always have my cell phone with me, so it's always best to reach me on my cell phone. And if I can give my cell phone, it's 514-816-9872. So it's for me. I like a direct. Sometimes I get these emails and so forth, but I always like better when a client calls me directly on the cell phone. Hey George, this is the situation. This is the problem that I'm having. How can we solve this? And then we just take it from there. So cell phone is usually the best way.
And they review it with you. Here's the situation, and then you come back to them. I guess. Okay, here are the options we can pursue. Is that how it works?
Yeah. I try to make it very simple. I try to actually make it very simple. I always want to know. Okay, what exactly do you need? And the client will tell me, oh, George, I need this. Precisely, I need this. And I said, okay, let's work on it. And then we're going to try to find a solution to get exactly what that person needs in order to move on. Yeah, it's as simple as that. So it's all communications. Like I said, I always rather communicate instead of by email because I do get a lot of emails. But I always tell them, please just call my cell and just talk. Verbally, it's always better than by email, obviously.
And I'm sure you've been taken to many different places, and even beyond the island of Montreal, I'm sure.
My God, I've been to Vancouver, I've been to Mexico, I've been to New York. I do travel a lot. Obviously, my main cases are here in the province of Quebec. I do cover the whole entire province of Quebec, but I do require to leave out of town. The distance doesn't really matter.
Right. All right. Well, George, we want to thank you. Such an intriguing business you're running, and obviously very successful. 32 years, over 12,000 surveillances. We want to wish you continued success, and thank you for coming on the show. One more time, how can people reach you?
They can reach him on my cell, which is 514-816 9872, and it's called Plan B Investigations. I'm also on the web as well. You just have to type Plan B Investigations. And Matt, actually, I have to thank you. It's an honor to be on your show.
Well, thank you very much, George. Thank you for coming on, taking some time here on a Saturday.
Thank you so much, Matt.
That's George Pinto, private investigator and owner of Plan B Investigations. All right, coming up on Life Unrehearsed, we're very, very proud to have two of the co-authors of the recently published World Alzheimer's Report. We're going to have Dr. Serge Gauthier and Claire Webster, who will be telling us all about it.